Well, hey everyone, it is Friday and it is market day. Yesterday, I successfully got all my items priced and I actually got to make a few more things between Wednesday and now. So I'm as ready as I'm gonna get. But I did try to see if I could remember how I did the chicken. And the second one, the first one, I got pretty close. The only thing I couldn't remember, see how nice and pointy I got that beak? I couldn't get the point on this one. I don't remember what I did. I don't remember if I surface crocheted it or made it individual and sewed it on. I am not sure what I did. Looking at it, I can't tell. So I have to play with that to figure out how I did that. But I had just enough of that yarn to make a second one. I thought about doing it in white, and I was just like, do I want to waste that white? I don't know. So what else did I do? Well, I did not get my swings back up to 50. I made 3 more swings, 2 seals and a yellow chick, and I just moved on. That gives me 42. I think I should be able to see the potential on the swings with 42. Hopefully. But I got my new tags. They came 2 days early. They weren't expected until today, but they came in on Wednesday. So, and I'm only going to use these on larger items. When I say larger, I mean probably 15 and over. The smaller things like the rubber ducks and the spiders and stuff, I'm just going to use my normal little handwritten tag, you know, the things that I make multiples of. Otherwise, I would go through these 1,000 tags really quick. So I just put my little yarn bowl logo on it, made a spot for an item and price. And then on the back side, Heather let me copy what hers said because mine was extremely wordy. And you wouldn't have been able to read it if I would have tried to squeeze that whole thing on. Because normally, where did I put that at? Normally, gotta make sure I stick this back in my box today. I give them like this. And there's no way I could have taken this, all of this, and put it on this tag. So these I got from Vistaprint. They are 2x2. And I ordered 1,000 of them, and it was like right around $100, which is definitely more expensive than, you know, getting little tags like this and handwriting everything. And I still do have to handwrite item number and a price, but it just looks so much nicer. You know, like if somebody's buying a gift for somebody, it'll look like a gift. Anyways, so I got the 3 swings made. I did 4 tan itty bitty demis so that I could ship off the 6 to my custom order and then still have some of that color left for market. So I think I have 5 of those now in tan. And then I was like, I made a corn. I did the corn out of Parfait Plush, so it is much larger than they usually are, and then I added legs so that it would look like an amusable. And I like the color of this. They don't really have quite the green that I would have liked for this. Chartreuse may have been a better green. But this is the seaweed, and I I forget the name of this yellow, but it's the brighter of the two yellows. So we did this last night, just playing around. And then at the last minute, I decided I haven't made a toothless in forever. So I started to do Shannon's from Snugglebeans Crochet, her little splooting Night Fury, which I haven't made before. And I had most of the parts made last night and finished it this morning. And then I made a boo-boo this morning. I sewed the red tail fin to the wrong side. I had it facing the wrong direction, and I was trying to be so careful with that. And I was just like, oh, I cannot believe I did that. Because as soon as I turned it around and it was facing me, I knew it was on the wrong side. So I cut them off, remade 2 tail fins, and sewed them back on. But here is my little Splooting Night Fury in Parfait Plush. So I had my issues with it, but it wasn't because of the pattern. Of course, it was because of me. But this one still needs a price tag. And it still needs a lint roller taken to it. Because I can see black fluff, red fluff, white polyfill fluff. But I think, no, I have it. It's not in the car yet. Yeah. But I haven't done one in a while, and I wanted to do one. I had to stop what I was doing and paint those eyes last night. So I used the gel nail polish because it is so much faster. Not quite as pretty as some of the glitters and the mica powders. But I was only doing one eye, or, one pair of eyes. And then I had a gold glitter top coat, so I put gold in with the green instead of silver to give it a little sparkle. But boy, they look like a really cool green on camera, I'll tell you. Big difference. So that needs to be priced. And then the car finished loading up. I still have a little bit of time, not a lot. But I just loaded my market bag with all my makes. And from the last 2 weeks, I filled the body bag. I'm surprised. I was just going to add it to the other bags, but last time, with having the markets so close together, we actually emptied a bag. And you would think, if you sell 70 or 80 plushies, you could leave the market with an empty bag, but that usually doesn't happen. But last time we did because we had the market so close together. But these are my backup swings, along with the ones that are already in that market bag. But that gets, like I said, gets me to 42 swings. Not at my 50, but we should be good. So I need to create a number, an item number, because this splooter is different than any of the other splooters, and it is also different from any of the other Night Furies. So it needs its own new number. And so we're going to do that real quick. Well, if anything is quick. Okay. Load, load, load. Software update tonight. Oh, well, good. You can do that after the market then. Don't do it right now and mess me up. Okay, items. Let's see. What's my next number? So I decided to name my chicken Henny. You know, like from the old kids' story, Henny Penny. But just Henny, no Penny. Okay, found a good number. Okay, why aren't you... Am I not in the right section? Items. Create. That is even different from yesterday. All right, so we have a Splooting. Night Fury. Oops. I can type. And give it a category. Goes into plushies. SKU number. Price. Okay. Should probably be more, but I'm going to keep it in line with most of the other splooters. Done. Okay. Then we just use, oops, got to mark the back side. I have to get used to that. Check the box. Is it baby friendly or not baby friendly? And then I'm just going to attach it with a stitch marker. I bought an inexpensive pack of stitch markers on Amazon. It's like 500 of them for $6. So just over a penny a piece. I think I can afford that. And they can keep the stitch marker because I have decided, or I should say, I have come to the conclusion that saving and reusing the tags is more of a pain in the you-know-what than it is worth. It takes me longer to sort through them. Then I still have to look it up to figure out what does that item number go to, unless it's something that's memorized because you sell so many of them, like Myrtle or the Demogorgans, or, you know, something like that, where you have that item number memorized. And that changes. So it used to be I knew Myrtle's number, the itty bitty snake's number, the mini bird number, and like the cookie mouse number. There was like 5 or 6 of them that I knew the numbers. I didn't have to look at the tag. I knew it. I didn't have to look it up to find the tag, but sitting there going through all those tags to reuse them was not one of my best ideas. So now I am just letting them keep them. Unless it's someone handing it to a small child, like right then and there, then I pull the tag off for them. So I need to get going because, well, I gotta load everything up and make sure I don't forget anything. And I might need to print, oh, I hope I have enough ink or toner, some business cards. I only have a few. That's probably enough. I have plenty of those. So, yeah. All right, we have to get a move on so that we can leave on time, have some lunch before we go, so I'm not starving at 3 o'clock and bugging John for food. All right, we'll check in at the market. Okay, it is almost time for the market to start. And I'm cold. And the wind is really blowing. And it's hard to make things keep looking pretty when the wind keeps blowing it on the ground. So, yep. There it is. Okay, you guys, we got about an hour left. Tonight is not the typical for this place. 2 reasons. It's freaking cold. And it's the state fair, which is not far from here. And I had no idea. For some reason, I thought state fair was in March, but I have no clue. So, yeah, it is what it is, but it hasn't been bad. It has not been bad. All right, gotta go. Well, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday in the morning, and as you can tell, this room, the window is facing the east, and the sun is going to play all kinds of games on my face with the reflections and shadows, and I'm trying to sit where the double window divider is so that I don't have this on my face. Maybe this room rearrangement was not a good choice. I don't know. So we are here for a recap. And I am going to do both markets today. So it might be a long video. Oh my gosh, it was so cold Friday night. Not that, the temperature-wise wasn't bad, but the feels like temperature, because of the wind, it was cold. It was really cold. And I just dressed in layers. When I got cold, I added another layer. But, yeah. Friday night got off to kind of a slow start. And, I'm like, why does it not seem so busy? Like, where's the crowd just wasn't there that's usually there. Then my neighbor, she told me, oh, it's state fair. And I'm like, oh my God. I thought that was in March, but no, it's in February. So all this week, starting, I believe it was last Thursday, is the Florida State Fair. And then it was cold. Now, for you northerners, it was probably beautiful weather. But for us natives down here, born and raised Floridian, thank you very much, it was freezing. It's like there is no happy medium. It's either too hot or it's too cold. We don't get that just right temperature. So we get set up, no issues, nobody blocking our spot this time. In fact, those two guys must not have got their extra 6 inches because they weren't there, which was nice. Not having to wait, you know, to be able to unload and reach our space. So, yeah. Let's just go and jump right into the sales. So at 5:22, market runs from 5:30 to 9:30. Usually we're done with our setup a good half hour, 45 minutes before the market starts, because we like to get there early enough to park in a certain area so that we don't have to walk miles out into the parking lot that is always so packed. So we get there a little early before these other two vendors set up, and we can get into the little area to park. So our first sale was at 5:22, and it was the keychain Demogorgon and an itty bitty Demogorgon. Now, I believe it was a gray one. Might have been tan. I don't know. I don't remember. The second sale was at 5:38, and it was 2 car swings, Perry the Platypus, and a frog. At 5:47, the mini bunny snuggler that I just made, that sold. I'll try to pop up pictures, but I can't guarantee like how attractive the pictures are going to be, because sometimes I just set it on my yarn pile desk and snap a photo, like if I'm showing Heather or it, you know, something like that. And so the backgrounds aren't real nice is what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna put up some probably embarrassing pictures because of my giant yarn pile in my very dwindling tiny workspace, because I need to clean it up again. But the mini bunny snuggler sold. Then at 6:01, the Myrtle the turtle that I did to make look like a rose and a frog swing. I was surprised how fast that Myrtle the turtle went, but it quickly went, you know, 31 minutes into the market. At 6:10, we sold an itty bitty demi, the Pokemon Umbreon, I think is what the name is. It's the black one with the yellow circle thing on its head. And the Axolotl that I just sold. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. The Axolotl that I just made. At 6:21, we are less than an hour in. The Splooting Night Fury that I just showed you at the beginning of this video, gone. Just gone. At 6:30, a jumping spider. Also at 6:30, a bee on a swing, and the fox from the Oak and Marlowe Fable collection. At 6:33, an itty bitty demi. At 6:53, cappuccino sold. At 7:01, the possum snuggler and a blue chicken that's been around for a while. I don't always put them up, but even with all the stuff I made, I still didn't have enough to fill my little baskets, so I was pulling that kind of stuff out to fill the baskets, which is good because that's one less thing I have to bring home. Okay, also at 7:01, a capybara. You know, it's funny, I sit there and say it started off slow, but then I look at these times and I'm like, okay, maybe it wasn't as slow as I thought, but it was. It was. At 7:06, this guy has been around for 2 years, and he has not been at every single market with me. But again, you know, having to fill in the space. Drake the dinosaur. It was an all from Jade pattern. And Heather had to refresh my memory on this because I knew it had been around at least a year. And because we both bought the pattern at the same time, and we were sitting there making them and using the different yarns to get the different sizes and messing with how the feet were attached and just, but that was 2 years ago. It was January 2024 that pattern came out. So he's been around 2 years, and he finally found his forever home. I know, right? At 7:19, the mini pony snuggler, that is Avery Crafts-A-Lot's pattern. At 7:35, a seal on a swing. Whoops. At 7:36, one of the little monster friends sold. It was the light purple one with the tongue sticking out. I was so happy one sold. Also at 7:36, a Perry the Platypus on the swing. At 7:37, I have very few mini birds left. I mean, they're easy to make, but I'm kind of bored with them, so I haven't really wanted to make more of them. So I only had 3 left, and the yellow one sold, along with a squid keychain. So now I have 2 mallards of that style left, and it's going to leave me another empty basket. So technically, I want to say I have 3 that are empty, and then I've been putting my chicks and eggs in one, which has killed the sales. They sell so much better sitting on the table. I put my snakes in one, which has also hurt the sales. And then I had one that was just plain empty. I got to figure out what I want to put in them. Anyways, at 7:41, we sold an itty bitty demi. At 7:45, we sold a capybara and a chicken on the swing. At 7:55, we sold a spider on a swing, a seal on a swing, and a penguin on a swing. At 7:57, we sold a frog on a swing. At 7:58, we sold a mallard on a swing. At 8:05, we sold a dumpster fire. At 8:08, a rat. At 8:13, it was a bat from Avery Crafts-A-Lot, one of her little small ones. At 8:19, one of the bigger rose turtles, the pink one, sold. That one was really pretty. And this next one, I can't say the word or I won't be able to keep a straight face, but Aspen, Crafty Kate's newest pattern, sold. At 8:23, we sold a Ninja Turtle, and it was the red one, Raphael, I think. I'm probably wrong, but it was the red one. And at 8:42, we sold the farmer frog, the one holding the chicken. And that was one that I used at Free Francis the Frog pattern off of Instagram and just kind of winged it and made my own weird looking frog. We sold, at $8.29, we sold a jumping spider, a blueberry amusable, one of the Pokemon evolutions or evolutions, and Kirby on a swing. At $8.34, a yellow chick on a swing. At $8.36, a capybara. At $8.50, both of my possums that I used the wrap pattern and changed colors to make it look like a possum. So I'm 4 for 4 on those. I've made 4 and have sold all 4 of them. I don't know. Maybe it's just the shape of those, because other possums, when I've made them, they just kind of sit and sit and sit. But these seem to be doing well. I can't explain it. At $8.55, we sold a keychain gummy worm and a sitting cat, which is one of the Pammy doll cats. And I want to say it was a solid gray one. At $9.05, we sold another rat and an axolotl. And then the last sale for Friday night was at $9.09. Now, remember, the market's open till 9:30, and usually we're making sales after the market closed. But the last sale at $9.09 was another frog. Trying to remember what I had left on the fancy frogs. I don't know. It was one of the Francis, the fancy frogs. Oh, it was the watermelon. It was the watermelon frog. So that was it for Friday night. And, let's see. So we did a total on Friday night of $757, which, all things considered, it being cold and us Floridians not being able to handle it, and the state fair going on, we did pretty darn good. So it was a total of 37 transactions with the average sale of $20.46. This was another interesting thing about Friday night. 66% of our sales were on card and 34% on cash. So that's pretty high for us for cash sales. Usually it's minimal for cash. And my square fees were $16.49. So the best sellers for Friday night was, coming in first place with 4 sold, the Itty Bitty Demi. And then a tie for second place between the Capybara, the Frog on a Swing, coming in with 3 each, was, I just said that, Frog on a Swing and the Capybara, both coming in at 3 each. I'm tired, can you tell? Then we had third place twosies, 2 rats, 2 possums, 2 fancy Francis frogs. Ugh, I can talk. 2 jumping spiders, 2 platypus on a swing, 2 seals on a swing, and everything else was a one-off. So as for categories, 32 plushies, 14 swings, 4 loveys, which is very good, and 3 keychains, 1 amusable. So keychains, my selection has dwindled down so far. I need to get my butt working on some keychains. The Loveys to do 4 at one market, even though they're the minis, is fantastic. Really good. And then, of course, this was the market I wanted to test having 50 swings at to see what the potential was. And we have an off night because of the weather and the fair. So that might have to wait. But I did not run out of stock. Okay, so let's go to Saturday's market. Good morning, everyone. We're all set up, and I'm really wondering. Not very many vendors again, and I am right in the middle of, look over my shoulder. I don't mean to spin, but just look over my shoulder. 1, 2, then there's us, 3 corn vendors. Then on the other side of that building behind me, right over here, is another corn vendor. Lots of corn people. Doesn't look like there's too many other types of things besides food. We'll see. And then this area right here is where they're going to bring all the horses through. So hopefully we'll get some good shots of some really big horses. We'll see. But it's kind of windy. My hair is all frazzled. It's a little chilly, not as bad as it was last night. And yeah, we'll see what happens. My hopes aren't very high. I'll just put it that way. So it might be one of those things where the Easter one I signed up for here ends up just being a donation. We'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to think positive, but it's hard. It is hard. And it's about 5 minutes before they start letting the public in. Hopefully, with the state fair going on. I guess there's state fair in Tampa and then Pasco County Fair. So there's a lot of things to draw people away from this type of thing. So we'll see what happens.
You want a pair? Get on here and tell me right here. 500. Hit 5, 2, 3. Hit $300 down. 3, 3. What do you get 3, 3? What do you get 3? Now 4, 4. What do you get $400 down? Hit it down. 4, 4. What do you get $400 down? 4 and a 5. Hit $500. here in a 5-5. Your turn, shorty, 506. Hit $600 now, hit it now, $600 now, hit it now, say you want to get $600 now, 5's bid, I'm asking 6. Hit $500 here now, $600 now, hit it now, give me $600 now, hit it now, 5 to $600 now, you're in, shorty, 500 now, say, hit $600 now, hit it now, $600, 550. Hit $550 now, hit it now, 5 and a half, what do you pay? $550 now, hit it now, 500 and a half. Don't lose them, boys, 550. And $550 now, hit it now, 5 and a half, what do you pay? What do you pay? What do you pay? 500 and a half. Sold them your way, shorty. 500, 500. Yes, ma'am. Stevens, Beatty, and Foss, Shorty and Newton. Yoder and Hatfield follow this pair. Oh, man, that was a nice start right there, and I like it, boys. Here we go, 102. Hit one here now, 202 now, 3, what do you get, $300 now?
Okay, so there's a lot of noise pollution right now. Generators running, trains going by, people talking. Yeah. There's a lot of people here, but the only thing they're buying is food. So I got to sit here and make 2 capybaras. This was the first one, and this one's the second one. So I get to put them in my basket because, we sold 3 of them last night, and my little basket looks empty with only 2 in it. And I think I'm gonna have enough time to make another one or 2. I keep wanting to sneeze. All right, we will check back in. So Saturday's market was at the Pioneer Museum. It was a horse and quilt show. And there was a lot of people there. But they all brought chairs, and they all stacked their chairs around the area where the horses were going to pull this big truck, I guess, to see how far they can pull it in a time frame. I'm not really sure how it works. These were some big giant horses. Huge. So yeah, I don't think I'm going back to this place again. I know I paid for one for Easter, their Easter egg fling, but I think I'm just going to contact them and let them know I won't be there because it's not worth my time, honestly. Again, I was cold, even though the weather was warmer and the sun was out, but the wind, I was cold. I was having to lay my sweater over my legs as a blanket. And then when I got real chilled, I would just go over and stand in a sunbeam, and that would warm me up. But the way they set it up, and this is partially my fault, because I requested to be close to the restrooms. thinking that it was going to be the same way it was with the amount of vendors that they had the first time I went there at Christmas time. The place, it was loaded with vendors, and I was way up by the entrance, and the bathroom is way down at the other end. Sorry, I moved right into that sun thing. So I requested to be in the center towards the restrooms. Well, it's kind of the same area where I was for this past Christmas market that was so bad. So I think I was one space over from where I was at, but I was right in the middle of all the food. Like, I had 4 corn people, like 3 on one side and 1 on the other. And anybody else, with the exception of 2 people, one guy that made like big wood picnic tables and swings, you know, like porch swings, and another woodworking guy that his all looked like it was laser, you know, it looked like it was laser cut. I wish I could have taken my phone that far away from the iPad, but I have to use the mobile hotspot to get the iPad to work in order to ring people up. So I have to leave my phone there, so I couldn't get any video, but his stuff was gorgeous. I don't know if he did well or not. I don't know that anybody did well. But yeah, so I'm like right in the middle of the food, and everyone else with the merchandise was at the other end, except for me and the 2 woodworking people. So I think that was also a disadvantage. And the fact that everybody was really just there to see the horses do their thing. But anyways, it was supposed to end at 4 unless the horses aren't finished. And they said, oh, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And you can't bring your car in. They keep the gate locked. You cannot bring your car in until the horses have gone back to their trailers and the people are out. So we didn't get to leave there till 5:30. We got there at 8:06 in the morning. That was a long day. And I was cold. And I was tired. Like, I crocheted 3 capybaras while I was there. And the third one, oh my gosh, I just wanted to go to sleep. I was so tired. These back-to-back markets are not for me. Especially when it is night and then morning. Now, if it would have been night and night and you could like get some decent sleep, that's might be a little different. But night into morning, not fun. So pretty soon I'm going to be off the camera because the sun keeps moving. Anyways, at 10:41 in the morning, we got our first sale. And it was a cat in a bed. The little black one with the red bed. At 11:09, Kirby on a swing. At 11:28, an axolotl. But at 11:32, they haven't left the booth yet. At 11:32, the little girl wanted to know if she could trade the axolotl for Myrtle the turtle. You know, she didn't really look around and see. So I did the exchange. So I returned the axolotl back into inventory and let her have the Myrtle the turtle. So between that, her sister was paying for a sitting cat, and it was the one that I did out of that tabby yarn that I specifically bought to make a cat, hoping that it would look like a tortie, but it wasn't dark enough yarn. But I still made one, and it sold. Oh my gosh. I don't know where. Now, with this setup, there's going to be a certain time of day I'm allowed to film, because this is ridiculous with the light. Let me scoot this over a little bit so I can scoot and get the sun lines off my face. Oh my goodness. All right, so where were we? Oh yes, the sitting cat, then the exchange for Myrtle the turtle. At 11:48, we sold the manatee. And that was cool. So both the cappuccino and the manatees sold between the 2 days. At 11:52, the mini giraffe snuggler. At 12:35, a seal on a swing. At 12:37, the sweater bear. That one was a free pattern that I tried off of Instagram. At 12:57, a rat, an itty bitty demi, Myrtle the turtle, and a penguin on a swing. At 1:10, the pear amusable. At 1:21, a rat. At 1:31, a chicken on a keychain. At 1:33, a jumping spider and an itty bitty snake. At 1:44, my lemon amusable and the one of the macarons, however it's pronounced, amusable. At 2:01, an itty bitty demi. At 2:31, a cat on a swing and an axolotl. At 2:44, a mini platypus and Reggie the frog, and it was, it was the one I did out of that tabby yarn to make it look like a toad. At 2:01, did I say? Yes, I already said that. Oh my gosh. I'm tired. Guys, I am really tired. So yeah, we did the platypus and Reggie. Okay, at 2:47, a chicken on a swing. At 3:05, an itty bitty snake. At 3:22, a jumping spider and a capybara. And at 4:02, the last two Francis the Frogs, the fancy ones, and it was the chef and the princess. So that left me with, believe it or not, one frog. One Reggie. Frogs did decent this weekend, and frogs never do decent. For me, anyways. So it was 4:02. It was kind of steady. We didn't, everything was low price, you know, like 20 and under. We had 23 sales, and for $400 even, with the average sale of $18.04. So the best hour was from 11 to 12. That was the only hour that we broke $100. And it was just downhill from there. It was like the next hour, just over 80. The next hour, not even 60. Oh, make sure I'm reading this right. No, just over 80. Just under 80. Just over 60. Under 40. And barely $20 the last hour. It was a long day, and I was very tired. So, as I said, we collected $400. And this was another weird day. $208 in credit card and $192 in cash. So it was 52%, 48%. So it's almost like split down the middle almost. And my credit card fees were $6.75. So the best seller for this market comes in at a whopping 2, and there are several that tie for being bestseller. 2 axolotls, 2 itty bitty demis, 2 rats, 2 Myrtle the turtles, 2 Francis the frogs, 2 jumping spiders, 2 itty bitty snakes, And that was it. So for a category breakdown, it was 22 plushies, 5 swings, 3 amusables, 1 lovey, and 1 keychain. So over the 2 days, we sold 19 swings, 4 amusables. So we have a 2-day total, now that I figured it out. For the 2 days, we did $1,157, 60 transactions, with the average transaction being $19.53. 61% of the sales were in credit card and 39% were in cash. The 2-day credit card total was $23.24. And the best sellers for the 2 days were Itty Bitty Demi with 6, 4 capybaras, 4 rats, 4 Francis the Frogs, 4 jumping spiders, 3 axolotl, 3 swings, and don't start singing the 12 Days of Christmas. 3 seals on a swing, and the rest were one-offs, or there were twosies, and we don't need to go into that. So the 2-day total is 54 plushies, 19 swings, 5 loveys, 4 amusables, 4 keychains. Not too shabby. Although it was a lot of hours. And it was a lot of freezing. So now I get a 2-week break. And because of the way the days fall this month, I thought my next 2 markets were going to be like, do a Friday night and then the next Sunday, but it is not. It's going to be split up. It'll be Sunday is going to come before, the 4th Sunday is going to come before the 4th Friday this time. So I'll get a little bit of break in between those, so that'll be nice. And then we go into a whole new month with it starting all over again. But, oh my gosh, I hope this lighting is not too distracting, because it's very distracting for me. I will have you know that. It was very distracting for me. Anywho, that is my big recap. Kind of like nothing exciting happened. No good stories to tell other than oh yes so I made the cows, the pigs, the chickens. I did the sheep splooter and the pig splooter, and I had all my kind of farm stuff like right in the same area. Didn't sell a single one, not one. I'm like, I will never do that again. I mean, I'm not saying I'll never make a cow or a pig again. I'm saying I'm not going to make specific items for a certain show, because I didn't even put those on display Friday night. I saved them for Saturday. Because, I mean, I made some, but I didn't make a lot of them. And then not a single one. Now, the chickens got a lot of comments, but nothing. So also on Friday night, on the long trek to the restroom, 5 other booths selling crochet items. 1, just out and out plushies like I am. 1 with, of course, the Timu flowers. And then the others, they just had like a small little section. Here's their crochet stuff. Like, they have a friend that crochets, and will you sell some of my stuff for me type of thing. Usually that market doesn't allow that many, especially on that main stretch, because then you still had the circle and this other like lane, the wind tunnel part, that there may or may not have been some over there. But there were a lot of people there with plushies Friday night. And then yesterday, it's not a nice story. It's kind of an irritating story. But you had these two moms come up and they had like 5 kids between the two of them. Turn them loose in the booth. Of course, they are picking up everything, you know, just like kids do. And as soon as they ask for something, the moms are like, we don't have no money. And I'm like, then move along. This is not the playground. We're not the babysitters. Don't turn your kids loose in somebody's booth if you have no money and I don't know. It was just like, don't do that. It's not nice. It's not polite. It's not respectful. Okay, that's my only rant. And I'm going to go now because I see a nap in my future. I do. We'll see you Monday night with Heather. I think it's her channel. Oh my gosh, I'm losing track. Pretty sure it's her channel. Pretty sure. Okay, we'll see you there.